Hey guys, in this video I'm going to be speaking about probability. I'm almost certain all of you heard the word probability before. Some of you may say, yeah, it's the chance of something happening. And if you're saying that, then you're absolutely right. By definition, which I wrote right over here, probability is the measure of the likelihood that events will occur in a random experiment. Probability is quantified as a number between 0 and 1, where loosely speaking, 0 indicates impossibility and 1 indicates certainty. The higher the probability of an event, the more likely it is that the event will occur. Typically, probability is a fraction or a decimal, both smaller than or equal to 1, but bigger than or equal to 0. So I created this table where I'm discussing freshmen, sophomores, juniors, seniors, and whether or not they're in a sport or a club. So I made this table look like this, and these guys here is what we call events. Sports is an event, club is an event, freshman is an event, sophomores, juniors, seniors, these guys are all events. So I want to analyze the table first. So let me get rid of this part right here. Here I have 73 and 17. If we add 73 and 17, we would get 90, the total freshmen that are in our school, let's say. Here, 14 and 81, well, that's the total sophomores, and that gives you a total of 95. And the first thing I think we should all do is that if there is no total, you should fill in your table with the total. 87 and 98 gives you 185, 40 and 60 gives you 100. When you add up 90 and 95, 185 and 100, you get this guy right here, which is 470. Now, anytime you can pause the video, confirm your answers, and take your time understanding. Go back in the video and once again, pace yourself. Here, for sports, we notice there's 73. Let's get rid of this highlighter here. There's 73, 14, 87, and 40. That makes 214. 17, 81, 98, and 60 makes 256. In other words, 214 people participate in a sport and 256 participate in a club. If you add these two numbers, you get 470 as well. In all my videos, I'm going to refer to that number 470 as the total, because we have many totals. We have the freshman total, the sophomore total, the sports total, the club total. So I'm going to refer to this guy as my total. So one last thing I'll say before we move on to some problems is that there are actually 4 rows and 2 columns. In bold are the totals for the columns and rows. When we discuss how many rows and columns a table has, we don't count the total row or the total column. This table here is what we call a contingency table or a matrix, and we say it is a 4x2 table. And that's because we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, and we have to say the row first. So this is a 4x2. And this here doesn't say 4 times 2, but this says 4x2. I think the best way to teach and learn probabilities by example, so we're going to dive right in. We're going to start with the most basic, the notation, followed by the probability of what we call events. Events is what I just said earlier. It's going to be the freshmen, sophomores, juniors, seniors, sports, and clubs. So let's take a look at this here. I wrote P parentheses freshman. This basically says what is the probability that you choose a freshman. So what I have to do is I have to go to freshman, find this person, and cut across this way. And what we notice is that it's 90. Let's use a different color. But earlier I said, wait, probability is a number between 0 and 1. And it's going to be a fraction or a decimal. And right now I see that it's 90. And so when we're doing probability, we want to do it out of the total. So the total in this case is 470. So 90 out of 470 is the probability of choosing a freshman to, let's just say, answer a survey. So in the next example, you'll see the probability of choosing someone who participates in a club. So let's get rid of this guy here. I'm going to get rid of him. And let's go back here. Club is this guy right here. So there's 256 people who participate in a club. So what I'm going to say is 256 people participate in a club out of 470, or the total. Everything has to be out of the total, which is this guy here. What's the probability that you choose a sophomore? Well, I'm going to go to sophomore. Let me get my highlighter. Let me erase this here. Get the highlighter, go to sophomore, cut across, and you're going to get to 95. Once again, we know that a probability cannot be 95. So it's out of the total. What's the probability that you choose a junior? Well, here are your juniors. You're going to cut across, and there's 185 juniors out of the total, which is 470. What's the probability that someone plays a sport? Well, here's my sport. There's 214. I should have probably gotten rid of this guy right here. There's 214, and it's going to be out of 470. What's the probability that you choose a senior? Well, you go to senior, you cut across. It's going to be 100 over 470. So these are what we call simple events. It's just you're getting the probability of each event by itself. So once again, at any time, you can pause the video to either confirm your answer, or you can try it for yourself and see if you and I both get the same answer. So let's move on to some other things.